Good morning, friends. Happy Monday. I hope you had a wonderful 4th of July weekend. Hopefully socially distanced and safe from everybody and with people still. So anyways, so today I am halfway through my challenge. So this is video 15 of a 30 video series. And today we're going to talk about body image. So body image, and specifically where we get our idea of what our body should look like. So a little background on me. I hated my body for a very, very long time. As you already know, for a girl to start dieting at 10 years old means she probably didn't have great body image at the time. Now, to compound all of this, I was a big kid growing up, so I was that girl in elementary school that was bigger than everybody else. I got my height really early, so I was tall by the time I was 12, and I was towering over everybody. And you can imagine, for a child who had already internalized the story that I was worthy if I could take up less space, being the giant in the class, it was tough. It made me feel like an ogre. The movie Shrek had a totally different meaning for me than it might have for other people, or maybe everybody felt that way too. I don't know, but yeah, it was rough. So I was tall by the time I was 12. By the time I got to high school, that magical time where most people feel like they've peaked. If you talk to anybody right now, their goal is to get to their high school weight, or, oh yeah, when I was high school and I could run really fast. That was their glory days, right? That was the point where I was settling into an unattractive body. So I felt big. I can just tell you the big thing for me was I hated my hips. I had big hips. I did not like my stomach. I was always trying to hide it and make sure my top was tented over it. And yeah, it wasn't fun. On top of that, the books and the movies, the books that I would read, the movies that I would watch, we all know that movies and TV idealize a certain kind of image, a very specific look. But for me, on top of that, I was a bookworm. I love to read, and I can just tell you, every book that I read, whoever the hero, the heroine of the story, the female lead was, more often than I can't actually think of a book that the heroine wasn't described this way, but she was described as long and lean. Tall, long, lean, elegant. So elegant became attached to tall and lean, long and lean. And in addition to that, if you grew up on Disney movies like I did, usually the bad woman was short and wide, short and big. And so it created this very clear image in my mind. And then if you add on little things like I had curly hair and most of my classmates had straight hair, or we can just go on and on and on about all these sort of idealized images that we internalize over time, and it is not beneficial to our self-esteem at all. And the end result is that we have this idea that there is some way that we are supposed to look, and we don't look that way. And that something is outside of us. That's what the overarching story is. Now, this changed. This is now different for me. And I do want to tell you, this change, it actually started before I started losing weight. Before I started the transformation that you see in front of you. If you've ever read anything by Stephen R. Covey, he always says, an external transformation is preceded by an internal transformation. And that was very true in my life. What that means is, before you can externally transform, there has to be something internal that shifts in you. And that's what happened to me. If you have ever read one of those magazines like Cosmopolitan, for those of you who don't read Cosmopolitan, And I don't actually read it very often, but especially in my younger years, I would read these magazines. Around the summer, they would always have a swimsuit guide issue. And I remember one time I was looking, I'd seen these a billion times over, so many times. And one thing I noticed, one day I just had this click. I was looking at this summer guide, and what they do in these swimsuit guides is they give you every single body type, or typical body types. Like, here are the female body shapes. You know, here's an athletic build, here's an hourglass, here's a, whatever, pear-shaped, whatever. And what I started to notice as I was reading through all of the suggestions for what swimsuits you should buy, every single body style, every single body type was trying to look different than they looked. Another way of putting that is, I didn't find one single body type on that list that said, congratulations, you're the perfect body type, wear whatever clothes you want. You will always look good. And that was when I began to question, wait a minute, maybe this ideal that I've been searching for, maybe it's not that I'm the ideal or I could be the ideal. Maybe it's just that there is no ideal. And we're all just trying to look the best that we can look. And when I discovered that, that's when things started to change. That's when slowly over time, going to try on clothes, I actually had a mental shift where in the past I would put clothes on. If the clothes didn't fit on my body or look good on me, I would think that that was a sign that my body was bad. But then I was able to see, wait, but this just doesn't look good on my body. That shirt is bad for me. I'm not bad for that shirt. Those jeans are bad for me. I'm not bad for that shirt. It began to shift to an internal realization that my body is a gift, that my body is my gift. And my joy in this life is to find out how to optimize my body for me and for nobody else. I now fully appreciate and inhabit my body. And I can do that not at the expense of somebody else's body. Because I feel good in my body does not mean that anybody else has a bad body. It just means that I feel good in my body. Because of this, beauty, the idea of beauty has become so much richer of an experience for me. It's no longer just a visual thing, it's a tactile thing, it's a kinesthetic thing. It's a thing that I can fully feel in my body, that I can live in my body and experience. My body image way back then was a complete self-esteem issue. And when I realized that, that's when I was able to learn that beauty is not this fixed idea that's an external reality. It's an experience of your life. Yoga has taught me to enter the space I live in fully and completely, with all of my being, with all of my presence. And I can tell you the way I discovered that in yoga, it started like everything else started. I would get into a class, the teacher would guide us into a pose, and maybe I couldn't get in that pose because my arms weren't long enough. Oh, if only I had long arms like her, I could do this pose. But then over time, I began to realize, wait a minute, the pose is meant to be in service of me. The pose is just a decoration for me. So how can I decorate me with this pose in a way that works for my body? And then that's where I started to make adjustments. And that's where the practice of yoga, I started to be able to do amazing things that I couldn't do before. And maybe the person next to me couldn't do it in the exact same way that I could. He or she could do it her way, but I was doing it my way. Friends, this is possible. And what I'd like to, the reason I'm sharing this with you today, it's like, even as I'm sharing it, I'm like, this should have been what I started these videos with because it's so revolutionary. What I'd like you to consider today is that happiness for yourself, it's an internal job. It requires work on your internal landscape. It's not external. Your external landscape might change as you do the internal work, but it's internal. I also want to offer you the question, what if you look at your body and all you see is dread and you hate it, what if the way you're looking at the problem is the problem? What I found for me is that self-attention, bringing my awareness into my body and on my body, was the key to self-love. And I don't mean self-love in like the, oh, I'm just gonna love myself, it's all good, doesn't matter. I don't mean the self-love where you're denying your pain. I mean the self-love where you fully accept what you're feeling, but then you engage with it like a loving parent would with their child who's aching or hurting. We can do that for ourselves. That is a possibility. What tends to happen when we do have a lot of self-hate is we respond by turning away, by clenching and numbing out. I know I did this. I didn't want to look at my body, or this is what I would do. I would clench my stomach because I was embarrassed by it, so I'd always clench it in and tuck it in and hug it in. And then I couldn't breathe well. And yoga taught me that. So I actually learned this practice from yoga, this practice from experiencing the detriment, what it does to us when we clench and we tighten. I want to offer this practice to you today. You can try this. You can do this today. You might do this with me right now, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. You might just sit and close your eyes and place your hands on your stomach. And if you're anything like I was, the first moment you put your hands on your stomach might tighten up because you're flooded with a sense of shame. The stomach is not what I want it to look like. I can't even feel it, but I know it doesn't look like the six-pack that I want. But here's the thing, friends. When we keep looking at these pictures of these six-packs, we're looking at somebody who is posing in tense. They can't live like that. The longer you live tense like that, the more numb you get, the more your whole body begins to ache. So as you're sitting there with your eyes closed, your hands on your belly, I invite you to breathe into your belly. And at first you might breathe and you can't feel your belly moving because you're actually breathing into your chest. But the longer you sit here, and the longer you listen with your hands, just listen with your hands and let that judgment go, that judgment of how your stomach is supposed to feel or supposed to look, and allow yourself to get to a place where your stomach is expanding and settling, and expanding and settling. Allow your body to get into a rhythm with your breath. And for this practice, what I encourage you to do, I would rest like this, I would sit like this with my hands on my belly until I could feel all tension in my belly had finally dissipated. Until I could be with both of those ends of the spectrum, with that whole kaleidoscope of sensation, both the fullness of the belly where it feels round, what we might consider to be unattractive, and the emptiness where it's emptied out and it's hugged in and it's supporting your back. That is the yin and the yang, friends. That's why the yin and the yang is a circle. It's not linear. It's a combination of both softness and hardness. And when we can inhabit that place and let our body breathe and actually feel what's going on in our body, that is when we can experience the beginnings of true beauty in our life. So do this today. I invite you to do it at least for today. And then if the practice serves you, as all practices should, if it doesn't serve you, don't do it. But if it serves you, then I invite you to continue this week every single day. Do it for 5 minutes a day. Or if you're really feeling like this is getting to the root of your problem, I encourage you to sit and rest your hands on your belly and do this until you feel your belly finally relax and you're able to give way to presence. Try that. Comment below. Let me know if you do. Let me know how you like this practice. And then friends, I also want to encourage you. So moving forward, I've been doing these live videos in this group. I'm going to continue to do them this week in this group. But at the end of this week, I'm going to start going live in a different private group that we've created specifically for these topics that I'm sharing. So if you're finding benefit from this, or if you know somebody that would find benefit from this, I'm going to place the link in the comment, or in either in the comment section or in the post itself. You're welcome to click on that link and ask to join. We'll let you in. And then, like I said, share that link with friends if you know somebody who could use the information, or maybe this is a topic of interest to them. And yeah, so I will either see you guys at the gym today, or I'll see you here again tomorrow live. Thank you, as always, for sharing your attention with me. Yeah, we're in this together. Talk soon. Have a good day.